All right, so we're gonna do something a little bit different here. It's funny. If you ask me on like 6 days out of 7, if I enjoy Dead by Daylight, I will 100% shit on that fucking game. Like, it's a funny thing. I have a very abusive relationship with Dead by Daylight. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people play Dead by Daylight because it's the only game on the fucking market. Unfortunately, what is it? 11 plus years of support always been busted and broken. And there's been other games, greater games, I even dare say, that didn't even get 1/8 of that type of support or was quickly abandoned for no fucking reason. I'm looking at Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm looking at Resident Evil Resistance. It is both much more fun games, and unfortunately, Capcom and the people who made Texas Chainsaw Massacre fucking greedy pieces of shit that don't know when they have a golden goose or they're just cutting and running for the sake of it. Meanwhile, we get left with a game being held together by tape and fucking glue. So this video is called The Concerning World of Killing Anxiety by Spookyloopz. And damn, 83,000 followers and your content comes from Dead by Daylight. That you doing good, buddy. You eating good. Now again, I do not like Dead by Daylight, but I do play it from time to time and then I'll uninstall it out of disgust. One time I actually told Steam to remove that shit out of my site. Because I hated the idea of it, period. But I do enjoy looking at Dead by Daylight videos. I am a killer main. Um, Period. I played one or two games as Survivor, went to Killer to be like, what is this even like? What does this feel like? Never went fucking back. But let's get into it.
What is up, YouTube? It's Spookyloopz, and for today's video, we're going to be discussing something very different. This video is not going to be a gimmicky build showcase or a compilation of funny clips. Instead, it's about a topic that, to my surprise, affects a lot more people than I realized. And that topic is a term called killer anxiety. Now, just by hearing me say the words killer anxiety may give you one of two different reactions. One, this is something that you deal with every time you play the role, or two, this is a dumb video and DVD isn't that serious. Regardless of what your initial response may be, this problem does in fact exist, and I think deserves more attention than what some people are willing to give. Firstly, what is anxiety? Well, a brief definition is an apprehensive uneasiness or nervousness, usually over an impending or anticipated misfortune. Anxiety affects around
So pretty much when you're not having a great game and you already know they're gonna sit at exit gate and be nuisances, right? Or they're gonna go out of their way to basically interact with you nonstop to annoy you. That I guess that's anxiety. Is that and you don't like the feeling of having to deal with that? Is that anxiety? Is that exactly what it is? I don't know exactly if I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but I guess in the sense of killer anxiety, having to deal with that type of shit probably stresses people out.
359 million people globally, making it one of the most common mental disorders in the world. And that's the good news. The bad news is it manifests in video games as well. So what does anxiety have to do with a game like Dead by Daylight, and particularly when playing the killer? Now, as I've recently learned over the past few months, there are so many levels to this issue, which we'll go over later, but for now, let's keep it at surface level. In the world of Dead by Daylight, killer anxiety is the stress or worry about different scenarios that can occur when simply playing the game. A bad set of chases, getting overwhelmed with your objective, or even worrying about what the other side will say based on your decisions in game. Here's a quick example. You load into a game and had a rough first chase, and upon hooking your first survivor, you see only 2 gens remaining.
And that's the thing that can happen. That's the thing that can happen. I remember loading in a game in which you had people, I think there was only one person with a mechanic kit and it was only 3 people with fucking flashlights, and generators were still popping left and right, and it was just like, how is it so fucking fast? How again, 11 years. At that time it was 10 years. This was recent. 10 years. How the fuck do you sit there? Oh, that's right, because the developers don't play their own game. We know this. Mind you, I am not a person. Let me just be sure on this. Let me just be sure on this, because I don't want to be talking out of my ass. I know that when I was playing this game, because the funniest thing is, as long as this game has been out, for a long time I didn't play Dead by Daylight. I own Dead by Daylight. I played it initially when the doctor was the new killer, and then I stopped playing it. right? So when the Soul stage came out, like that stage where there's 2 floors and you got all of the TVs or whatever like that, um I played the game and then I never played it again, and then I just recently kind of started playing it again. So I have 290 hours. At the time that I was playing Doctor, I had less than like 100 and probably 3 hours, which is crazy because I didn't play that game like that. I just had to look on Steam to see that. And it's just fucking crazy because they had all this time and it's still the same fucking thing.
with a fourth already at 50%. You take a look around the map to see if the scenario is salvageable, but your last gens are spread so deep into the corners of the map, you know your patrol is going to be a nightmare. Even for a killer with mobility, this can be a daunting task. So what are you feeling when this scenario happens? Overwhelmed? Maybe even embarrassed? Or what about feeling helpless? If you've ever felt any of these things, then my friend, that is killer anxiety. Let me
Okay.
explain. If you played DVD for the first time without any prior experience and got rolled, you'd probably just write it off because you don't know any better.
Same thing happened to me. I was playing the first time that I actually had a forming consciousness in DBD, just like how when you're a kid and the first time you realize, oh shit, I'm a human. The first time I was playing DBD that I remember, I picked up somebody and I was going to go downstairs where the hooks were. I'm like, oh, because I saw it in a video that downstairs have hooks. I'm like, okay, cool. Downstairs is right here. I'm gonna pick this guy up and I'm gonna go downstairs. And I saw all these other people pop up as soon as I picked the guy up, like peeking at me and whatever like that. Like there was some like next to me and stuff like that. And at first I brushed it off and laughed about it. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Because I didn't fucking know. The problem is that's every fucking game because Dead by Daylight, in its own form, Dead by Daylight, hard baked, it is made so that survivors will sit there and be toxic towards killers and always have a positive outcome, always have a positive position, favor them in the start that you have to take away from them after multiple second chances.
So why doesn't that mentality stick with you each time you get destroyed? It's because over time we learn what having no agency or feeling helpless can be like. And to be honest, it's fucking awful. It's such an unpleasant feeling that you dread it happening again, or simply just avoid the role altogether.
Or you load up and now you're trying to your curb stomp every survivor that you come across. That's what ends up happening. So you get rolled by pieces of shit or somebody hacking, because hacking is fucking notorious in this goddamn game in Dead by Daylight. Which, by the way, for you guys that don't know, and I just found this out, so maybe you guys already know this. Did you know that if you load into Dead by Daylight and when the screen of the camera's rotating, if your character's arm gets stuck like this or they freeze, you have a hacker in the game? Did you guys know that? Were you guys aware of that? Like, and the thing that's so crazy to me is that people found this out because it's so fucking common. How crazy is that? Again, 11 years. This game has been out 11 years. There's hackers who are able to see who you are. If you're a killer, they can see who they're playing against. They can purposely have multiple different accounts with unlock shit that's not even in the game yet. All it is, again, it is fucking, and don't get me wrong, for survivors, because I'm not some fucking heartless person. If you're playing survivor and your character's looking behind them, right, when the game starts, chances are you have a hacker in your game. It's really sad.
As mentioned earlier, I've learned that killer anxiety has many different layers to it and isn't just limited to shit that happens in a game. For some, it's far more complex and starts right in the lobby. Sometimes the aftershock of a bad game can create pre-game stressors before you even join the queue. And a lot of that stems from the quote, power roll expectation this game has. You are faster and dangerous, so anything less than that is embarrassing, right?
You're not faster. That's a fucking lie. If they say, like, on paper, killers are supposed to be faster than survivors unless you're playing who's the K-pop losers with the knives who moves extremely fucking slow for no goddamn reason. But I think that they were what is it? The main speed is like 4.6. I think that's like regular speed, and then they got 4.4 for like range characters, like the shooter, Western guy, and all of that. It's really funny. It's really funny because with the way that the game is and the way that survivors play and how they're so comfortable in being little shit stains, they're not even thinking, right? So you got survivors who They want to be chased, right? That's what excites them. And again, this is what I mean by the game fundamentally is flawed. Because as a killer, you should be extremely dangerous to interact with, right? Extremely dangerous. But with survivors, because they have so many ways to move faster than you every 30 seconds, or traverse faster, sprint bursts, or even second chances, or they're just trying to be assholes and get a little clips and shit like that, or embarrass people who are brand new to the game, or they don't know the newest exploits. You don't feel like you're in a fucking power role in this game. You feel like you're in a victim role. You're not a survivor. You're not even. You went from being the killer to being a survivor to being below that. You're a fucking victim with some of these people, because the thing is, the best games you're gonna play is either going to be against people who are disorganized, which is what you should hope for. Which then you're actually playing a fucking game. If you're playing against a four stack who's on comms, you're going to get rolled. Like, unless they're brand new to the fucking game, you're going to get rolled. And it's really sad that it's that way. And the reason on top of that is because of second chance, third chances, then there's second chance perks, then there's just, again, like I said, certain things in the game, no matter what position it is, it's always going to favor survivor, and you have to snatch that away from them after second and third times. You got to snatch it away from them 2 or 3 times before it goes in your favor. That's just how it is.
You are fundamentally responsible for everyone's experience in the server, including yours. You don't have a teammate to carry you, and every mistake you make is on you and you alone. That's the expectation that many people have heading into a match or before they even click ready. So let's start with something simple like character selection. Depending on how some of your previous games have been, I've learned that some people avoid certain killers altogether out of fear for getting flamed for simply existing.
You have Ghoul, you have Knight, there's Skull Merchant,
Ghoul, Nurse, Legion, etc. And God forbid you had a bad game when using them. You had trouble piloting a strong killer and got socially shit on because they were expected to perform to a certain standard. X killer does Y better equals you should have killed everyone. And when you don't, the social impact can resonate so bad that those killers go permanently back on the shelf. So what is the alternative? For people who have this anxiety, they might exclusively pick mid to low tier killers because it accomplishes 2 things. 1, if you have a shit game, you won't feel as bad because the killer is fundamentally weaker, thus the overall performance expectation is considered low, par for the course. Or 2, chances of getting shit talked or taunted could be lower because you might be perceived as less threatening. I've been playing this game since 2019, and while writing the script, I even realized that this had an effect on me to some degree. In my case, I stare at the full roster of killers and sometimes deliberately avoid playing strong characters solely because I'm rusty and fear having a bad performance in front of an audience, let alone 4 random people in a match. So I tend to stick to my wheelhouse of comfort killers because it's easier than dealing with the disappointment of not reaching the expected result. And it doesn't stop with just character selection. The same thing goes for builds as well. Certain perks have notoriously been perceived in a negative light by the community that you may avoid them entirely. Sure, this perk provides a strong value, but is it worth having an anonymous mode survivor call me a slur for using it? Or I want to experiment with something new, but I don't want to sacrifice my sanity if I can't keep up in the game. The mental gymnastics that some players go through like this is the reason as to why they stay complacent in 2026 DVD. Sometimes it's easier to bring a knife to a gunfight than feel like shit for trying. And all of this is far worse for newer players. Oftentimes, new players are confined to a limited pool of perks and killers that force them to use the best what they have to be even remotely relevant. So they head into a game, usually under-equipped against a team they shouldn't be facing due to current skill-based matchmaking, get walked, and pray they don't get made fun of. I remember
and they do, because they do not care if the person's brand new. You know how many... Again, this is coming from somebody who's not like a DVD head or something. Though I do play it a lot at night when I got a lot of downtime. Probably not for a long time because I just recently freshly uninstalled it. But and again, first off, it's 1v4. So in a 1v4 situation, the power role, which is supposed to be the killer, which is supposed to be the one person, is supposed to have advantages over the 4 people. However, that's not the case. Multiple hooks. It's 4 perks. It's 4 or 6 perks versus 16 plus something perks and items. It's just not a good time. And the thing is, these survivors, a lot of them do not care if you're brand new. If they smell any type of weakness, okay, let me put it to you like this. If you are playing killer in Dead by Daylight, if you are not stomping, you're getting trolled, right? And if you're stomping, you're gonna get ostracized when you get into the fucking lobby just for existing. Based on your character, based on your perks, based on the way you play. If you fucking, oh, you're tunneling me. It, even if you're not like, listen, I don't give a fuck about tunneling. If I put somebody on a hook and I see a fucking shadow move because I know you're trying to unhook the person, I'm gonna pretend to leave and I'm gonna come right back. Well, if I know that there's 3 fucking people there, why would I leave? Again, there's a lot of shit in this game where they want it to be in the survivor's favor at all times so that they feel fucking good. And it's like, what is the point of playing killer? And again, if they find out that you're brand new to the fucking game, right? If they see that they're able to make you eat pallets, if they see that they're able to loop you for over and over, they'll stop doing generators. They won't even do generators. If they're not all equipped with fucking flashlights, if they're not all equipped with sabotage hooks, which, by the way, you'll have these fucking people, these content makers or DBD fucking crackheads, these no-lifers, who, survivors mostly, will sit there and say, oh, well, if you're running against a bully squad, then, what is it? If you're running against the bully squad, as long as you're a good killer, they can't beat you. That's nonsense, because there's people who, again, they can do the 3 flashlights with the 1 mechanic kit, and they'll pop generators all the fucking same in the first 3 minutes of the fucking match. Right? Your first chase, there's guaranteed to be a generator popped if they're even somewhat efficient. Now you got a whole team of assholes. Yeah, it does feel good to see a video of a fucking killer curb stomping a bully squad, right? But the thousands of games of bully squads just fucking doing whatever the fuck that they want to killers, because they can call you out to their teammates at all times. They know where you are. They're watching you. You have a person following you, body blocking you, or sabotaging, or head bursting. What's the shit when they come out of the locker and they hit you? There's so much fucking shit. Or what I said, sabotage, chain, flash banging, or not flashlighting or flash banging. There's so much shit that they can do.
Specific instance that happened to me when I was about 1 month into playing the game. Back then, I was getting destroyed every single match because I lacked gen defense. So Hex Ruin was a perk I needed to acquire. Unfortunately, earning blood points at the time wasn't great, so I decided to pick up Leatherface because Old Barbecue and Chili was a great way to farm BP. I went into the match with Tier 1 Barbecue, 2 other crap perks, and no one escapes death. A build that fit my current budget. Long story short, I got bent over the entire game, and then the last gen popped. I got my second hook because of Know It and was able to secure my 1 and only kill solely because saving against a chainsaw isn't easy. The game was a terrible experience for me, but what happened next was worse. A streamer and his friends tore me to shreds for using a singular perk and completely disregarded that I was getting bodied for the last 15 minutes.
They don't care.
Who you are, mother.
They don't care. They do not care. That is the point. They do not fucking care. When it comes down to survive, and don't get me wrong, this is not like some fucking thing where it's like, oh, well, you need to understand from a survivor's perspective. Man, fuck that. I don't need to be a survivor player to understand a survivor's perspective. I'm not a fucking psychopath, right? There's this DBD creator, and I know you know exactly who I'm talking to. I'm gonna describe him. I don't know his name. It's like a guy, and he has the artistic imagery of the artist, right? So he has like the ink on his face. And I don't know if this guy's like the fucking Asmongold of fucking DBD with his takes, but it's like he's always trying to have these well-measured, balanced takes, but it's fundamentally flawed because, again, he's also trying to defend how DBD plays. And it's like, fundamentally, the way DBD plays is not the way it should play. It's how it plays, but you're a killer. You're expected to kill. That is it. That is all. The fact of the matter that you have people teabagging you at exit gate, and for 10 years there's been no mechanics to change that. The fact of the matter that they can stay in your face, and there's never been like for example, I saw a character who can throw an axe at you, and he can grab you if he gets close to you with the axe, right? That should be base kit for most killers. Most killers, right? If you get too close to them, and there should be a gauge that fills up. And when that gauge fills up, they can hold the button and they should be able to grab you, right? They should be able to grab you because you have survivors that sit there and they play in people's faces. And if you get grabbed in that grabbed, it should cancel a lot of shit. I'm not talking about no fucking, what's the shit when they stab you with is it a rock that they stab you with and they drop? You should not be able to get flashlight out of that animation or whatever like that. The amount of fucking times you're chasing at the end and they're running at exit gates, and you got people who literally go to the exit gates, they don't do anything but heal, right? They heal at the exit gate and then they wait because they want to interact with the killer, or they want to see the killer off, or they want to taunt the killer, or they'll even do last 6-7 games I played, whenever they got to the exit gates, I moved away from the fucking exit gate so that they would leave. They wait to the very last minute, even coming all the way across the fucking map to find me. Yeah, they'll go all the way across the fucking map to find you, right? It's fundamentally that game. The game is fucked up. And the funny thing is that this guy, the Asmongold, the DBD, he'll be like, you should not speak on either side unless you play either side. It's like, I don't need to play Survivor. I don't want Survivor to not have fun. I'm not some asshole, but at the same time, there are just certain things, and I don't want to hear fucking, oh, well, we can't do that because that's too much. The reason why behavior won't fucking do it is because they know if survivors are fucking complaining, that's their bottom dollar, and that's, to them, they're hard stuck with appeasing those people. We just saw the fucking event. I didn't play the event one time. I did not play the event one time. I didn't play it at all. I've never played an event besides the 2v8 one time that it happened. Right? Besides that, I've never played any of the Dead by Daylight events, and apparently from what I heard about the Dead by Daylight events, you got survivors teleporting, global healing, AoE global all healing. You got them going invisible. You got them making pallets unbreakable, and survivors and killers can spit poison. There's no fucking way in hell. There's no fucking way in hell. And the only reason why people put up with this shit is because every other fucking asymmetrical or 4v1 game shat the fucking bed and cut and run. Again, if Resident Evil Resistance had mind you, Dead by Daylight's been out for 11 years. If Resident Evil Resistance had 3 years of support, it would have been banging. If Texas Chainsaw Massacre had proper balancing, and because Texas Chainsaw Massacre is fucking great, right? If it wasn't for hackers in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I probably would be playing that game as well. Because that game is fucking great. The idea that everything is tied to a stamina system, and survivors, if they're strong, can fight back against weaker killers. But for the most part, and if you got a strong killer, they probably don't got great stamina, but 1 or 2 wallops and they fucking you up. Now everybody jumping people, multiple different ways to get out of the map and shit like this. It's great, and different objectives to do, like feeding the fucking grandfather so for detection, or they can attack the grandfather. It's great, right? It was great, and it's so sad that game got ruined and abandoned the way that it did. It's great. It's a great fucking game, and this is the sad thing, and why I'm not holding my fucking hopes for what is the game, Halloween? Because ultimately it's still a 1v4, it's a 1v8 or whatever the fuck it is. It's not gonna be entertaining, and those are the dudes who made the Friday the 13th game, in which they went to Friday the, correct me if I'm wrong, the people who made the Jason game abandoned it, right? And then they went to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and abandoned it, and now they're making Halloween. Correct me if I'm fucking wrong on that.
Fucker. Luckily, I was able to move on from that, but for some, this is exactly how this problem is born. With that said, I think it's time to discuss the meat and potatoes, the real place that killer anxiety resides, the match itself. I understand the DBD community can be incredibly tribalistic. Survivors hate killers and killers hate survivors. This is absolutely nothing new. For me personally, I play both sides. However, I feel that some folks often forget or intentionally discount what this game requires the killer role to do because of their exclusivity or limited experience to one side. DBD is essentially a game of time, and whoever manages that time better usually wins. Since survivors can't kill killers like in other titles, it makes sense that the game is designed to put a heavier workload on the power roll. So, not asking for empathy here, however, in a game of DBD, the wheel...
See that? That right there is what's wrong with DBD. That right there is what's wrong with DBD. What did we just see? We saw a person go downstairs and help dealing with their friend who's trapped on a thing. The person gets hit. There's no fear in that person. They don't care that they got hit, right? What do we do in DBD? You swing, you look at your weapon, you look at the craftsmanship, you look at how the handles, how well made the handle is and what date and order and model it is, right? And then you clean the blood off or whatever like that. By then, they're already playing a whole completely different game, right? That's what's wrong, and that's the reason why I really enjoy Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because you just go to fucking town and you're not alone. You're not alone. If a survivor gets caught and gets separated from the group or what, I mean, even though if a survivor gets separated from the group and gets in a dead end, they're just getting their shit beaten in. They're just getting jumped, and that's fucking hilarious. It's ruthless. It's savage, right? And yet it's great.
Wheels can start to fall off at any moment, and for some, it's as early as the first chase. I made a YouTube community post a few months ago when I first announced that I was going to be taking on this project. I asked people to tell me what killer anxiety meant to them, and out of the over 400 comments, I noticed one very...
To me, there's a turning point when the survivors realize I'm not as experienced at killers and they get overly confident and cocky, like doing the gens in my face or just being toxic in general, and that shit hurts a lot. I never play sweaty, and I don't run gen regression perks. The hidden rules of Dead by Daylight is you gotta appease the fucking survivors. Yeah, some people will always find an excuse to complain, even when they won toxic survivors. It's especially crazy because as a survivor, I'm always aware when the killer is having a rough time, like bad RNG, bad map, or even when they're just not taking the flashlights, end-game chat bullies, people complaining if I use Lightborn. Though not exactly, that's another thing, right? So with the flashlight, when you grab somebody, there's like a 4-second, the animation is 4 fucking seconds. So for 4 fucking seconds, if you are not facing a wall, the whole team is aiming flashlights at you. Right? In fact, the only way for you to not get flashlight, or at least reduce it, is you have to always be expecting that they're going to try to flashlight bang you, or chain flashlight bang you to save other survivors or just to be annoying, right? I actually, the last game I played, there was 3 flashlights on the enemy team. I did not get flashlight that entire game because that entire fucking game, I played the game to perfection. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the picture, right? I played this game to fucking perfection. I did. I played the game to fucking perfection. I played this game to perfection. And, what ended up happening, download, is it downloads, new folder? Is it, where is this thing at? Hold on. Where's this thing at? Where's my flow at? Where's my flow? Give me 1 second. I played this game to fucking perfection. The last game I played a DBD, I played it to fucking perfection. Right? I played this game to literally, I played this game to fucking perfection. Right? Where is, okay, here we go. Let me see if it comes up. Here we go. And then let me go here, then here, and then what am I looking at? Okay. And then let me see if I can bring it up proper. Let me see. Can I get pictures there? Hold on. OBS photos. Here we go. All right. So I played this fucking game to perfection, right? And this was a game that this is 3 flashlights, right? I didn't get flashlight once in this fucking game, and it got to a point that they were being so annoying with the flashlights that I had picked somebody up, and I picked somebody up. And because I saw them trying to flashlight me, I dropped them on purpose in front of them and moried them, right? Just to get my fucking point across, right? Just to get my fucking point across. Now, I don't remember if this is the exact game. Is this the exact game where they all fucking abandoned? So, I forgot. So this is not the exact game. Hold on. Let me go to show you another picture. This was the game before that, right? So apparently Freddy is not used very often. I tried to play Freddy. I kill one person at the end of the game, right? Mind you, so they open the exit gates. Game happens super fucking fast, right? They open the exit gates. I'm on the other side of the fucking map. They come all the way across the map to fuck with me after healing at the exit gates. And there's no punishment for doing that shit. The entity doesn't say fuck you and hurt them for doing that. It doesn't ensnare them. It does nothing. This game has been out for 11 years. In this game, let me explain what happened. So I was stomping them the entire fucking game, right? I found out a week ago that there's an item, well, not a week ago, but like a month ago or so, there's an item that can spawn hatch purposely. It can spawn hatch. It can spawn hatch on one side automatically, right? Or so in my head, I'm like, oh shit, so that's how they be finding the hatch. So I put the person on the hook. The shack is across the side of the map. It's the plant stage, right? I put the person on the hook. I go all the way to the shack, right? I'm at the shack waiting for the fucking hatch, right? That person could have been saved. The person did not save them, didn't attempt to save them, nothing. I close the hatch. I say, okay, I'm on the prowl, right? The person escapes. They had this fucking item apparently that can open the hatch. So that was their plan. And that's the thing. No matter what, whenever there's a position in the game, it always favors the survivor, whether it be pity hatch, whether it be you closing. I thought when you close the hatch, right? When you close the fucking hatch, that's the end of the fucking hatch. That's what I thought. Foolish fucking me. Foolish me. That's my fault. My bad for playing your fucking game. And that's why I uninstalled it for the last time. That's why I uninstalled it. Because I said it doesn't matter. I gotta work super fucking hard. I'm playing perhaps one of the worst killers in the game. Everyone says that Skull Merchant is the worst killer in the fucking game in terms of power. She's not very good. And then at the same time, I can't even enjoy the character because if I do extremely well, I'm getting fucking attacked in the lobby, or they're trolling me, or if I do bad, they're talking shit. If I do good, they're talking shit. I can do good and they still sit there and say that they won because they got a pity hatch. It's annoying. Though not exactly what was being asked, I am a highly anxious person, and I really felt anxious playing killer, and I think I can share a few things that have helped me. Firstly, I managed shut the fuck up.
Common consistency. The feeling of losing multiple.
Again, I just recently there was a comment on Twitter that was like, killer anxiety is such a nothing burger. And this it was like, man, and people are just like, bro, shut the fuck up. If you don't get killer anxiety, if you sit there and you enjoy getting your shit pushed in 24/7, if you like sitting in the cuck chair, right? If you like your girl pegging you, by all means, go live your life. But don't sit there and fucking tell other people that they should enjoy it, because it's not enjoyable. Buckle up, boys. This is a long one. When I started playing DBD, I was super confused about the gameplay. Like any normal person, I played a couple of Survivor games and then switched to Killer to experience and understand the role better and get the other POV. That's what happened with me. I played Survivor twice. The game that I played, the second game, I did not know where the fuck I was. It was that doctor. I don't know if it's a doctor stage, but I know in the center of the map there's like a I can't explain this map. I think it's not the Silent Hill map. It's a map. I think it might be Doctor Stage. It might be an asylum. I'm not exactly sure. But in the middle of the map, there's like a the generators there, and then like in the very center of the map, there's a second floor. There's no second floor in the rest of the stage, but in the center of the map, there's a second floor, and you can like go up, and then you can like go to the center and fall down. And it's the only there's only a second floor in that part. And I remember running around and not looking back, because I'm not a survivor, man. You know how survivors be looking back and they only react to what you do, so they'll literally jump over a pallet and not fucking move because they're just watching you or they're trying to taunt you. I'm running for my fucking life. I'm the only person that hasn't escaped, right? I finally escape, and the killer says to me, oh, you're a piece of shit. You could have left at any time. Why didn't you leave? Because, you know, and he thought that I was trolling him, and I was like, look, dude, this is my very second game in Dead by Daylight. I have no idea what I'm doing. And he felt bad, For what he said, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." I'm like, "No, dude." I was like, "Look at my account, look at my perks, look at all of that." I don't know what I was doing. I was having the time of my life, right? I was having fun. It was actually somewhat fun. I decided to play killer, like I said, and I never looked back.
Gens in your first chase feels like shit. Out of my 8,500 hours, I can confirm that is true. The reason as to why this feels so bad is because it can be perceived as a direct reflection of your skill or performance. This usually turns into frustration or embarrassment, which unfortunately can lead to helplessness. For people with killer anxiety, this is worst case scenario happening in real time. That feeling of being in an unwinnable situation. The only difference between veteran players like myself and someone that is newer is we're just able to identify it sooner. It also doesn't help that DBD does a terrible job at providing educational tools for anything outside of Hook Survivor, Kick Gen. So it's no surprise that players who invest too much time in their first engagement just get ran over.
The biggest problem with DBD in my eyes is, well, one of the biggest problems with DBD is the 2 health states. I think that shit is stupid. The fact of the matter that no matter what, if I hit you, you don't go down. I don't expect you to go down, but the fact of the matter that I have to hit you for you to get a damage state, and you get speed, you don't fall, and you can just keep moving, is fucking terrible. This is the reason why I prefer, like I said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when you're just wailing on people, Resident Evil Resistance, where people are just getting chain attacked and shit like this. And it's not, and in both games, you can somewhat fight back, right? Like, again, I used the girl who used poison in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if the survivor was bigger than the girl, stronger than the girl, they purposely would try to grapple with her, right? Because they're stronger physically than that girl, and they can overpower her. Resident Evil Resistance, chaining attacks, right? So I'll make a zombie grab somebody from behind, and then I'll switch to another zombie, and I will start swinging on him from behind. So you don't feel like as though you're completely useless and you got to watch a PowerPoint presentation. And again, even when you hit somebody with a weapon and you wound them, they get a sprint burst. They're gone. And guess what? If you don't got a character that has high mobility or some skill shot real quick or whatever like this, position goes to survivor. Even if you hook them, they don't die. They can get a reset.
I have 1.5 generators left. A third of my perks require hook activation, and there are 14 pallets still left on the map. Since we understand that DBD is a game of time, the stress of having a ticking clock in the back of your mind for some is enough to induce actual panic. And sometimes it's hard to step back from the panic or a high-stress environment and think with a level head. It can be very overwhelming and unfortunately usually results in more mistakes occurring. Another complaint I saw were people running into squads who make griefing you their only objective. The quote bully squad is a term made very popular in the DBD community. These individuals have abandoned standard gameplay for doing everything in their power to turn you into a piñata. Continuous stuns, flashlight locker saves, sabos, the list goes on. Now the good news is most killers win the majority of these games because these teams don't actually care. But it comes at the cost of being the center point of a humiliation ritual,
and yet they don't. Again, most killers do not win a majority of those fucking games, because if you run into a even semi-competent fucking 4-stack who wants to bully you, there's always going to be an extra person who is sitting there on generators and they're popping. So when you're getting stunned nonstop and you're what's that shit that they got? Don't they got that, what is it, shoulder to burden? Or second and third chance perks? I literally played a game with Plague that they all had sabotage boxes, right? And matter of fact, I'm gonna let this play while I look for the video, while I look for the picture. Hold on.
leads me to my next segue. One of the things I want to drive home in on this section is most killers just don't feel threatening anymore. This is partially due to the fact that the game has evolved over time. Recent updates to pallet density, busted mechanics, and map design are massive contributing blows to killer agency. Most maps have an increased pallet spawn rate with the goal of eliminating recurring dead zones. This unfortunately means you have way more pallets to break while your target autopilots to the next one. You may have performed a great mind game only to find another filler pallet 6 feet away. More pallets opens the door to longer chases, which cranks the pressure on an already ticking clock. Pair this with somebody who already struggles with macro gameplay and it's curtains. In recent updates, behavior has increased hook timers, anti-camp measures, longer haste and endurance on unhook alongside some incredibly strong perks. And all of these affect your agency. The longer a survivor can stay hooked, the more time survivors have to do gens. Securing a hook kill to regain control over the match now comes with a contingency. Too close and they just save themselves. Survivors on Hook now have longer endurance and haste. Even if you choose to target the unhooker, more often than not, they're protected because the endurance is weaponized. What about hooking someone during endgame? If a standard 2-person save wasn't difficult enough to defend, adding in a 15-second protected survivor can turn a 1k to nothing in seconds. Finally got someone on death hook with 1 gen left? Poof, shoulder the burden, pressure evaporated. All these things.
That's another thing, right? So again, like I said, no matter what, it's always in survivor's favor. No matter what the position of power is, it's always going to favor the survivor. For a killer to get that power over them, they have to snatch it from them over three fucking times, right? So a survivor has to make a mistake to die in Dead by Daylight. A survivor has to make a mistake 6-7 times just to get 1 kill. They gotta make like 7 fucking mistakes. Is that fucking fair?
Can make the killer go from a monster to cotton ball and plays a huge role in killer anxiety. You might even ask yourself, well, what do I do now? The sad reality is, what can you really do? At any point in the game, if you start feeling your agency unraveling, oftentimes the best strategy is to eliminate a survivor from the match entirely. It's a lot easier to return the ball to your court when you only have 3 survivors to deal with than 4. However, this brings anxious players to yet another fork in the road. Do I tunnel someone out and risk ridicule for my actions in game, or do I play nice and put everyone's enjoyment before mine? Now, there are a decent portion of survivors, mostly the ones with experience, that understand that tunneling or this tactic is used to give the killer an edge and isn't personal. It's the other side that sees this as a cardinal sin because the standard that has been preached for 10 years says so. Everyone wants to win, however, players that have experience getting blasted for exercising something deemed off limits will avoid it altogether out of fear of scrutiny. DBD has came quite a long way from what it used to be. It went from
holy shit, that dude's zooming
all time to safety nets being installed everywhere throughout the match. I know this sounds like I'm being biased, but it does feel bad for so many people when they feel like the game has prioritized one side's experience instead of both. So before you hit the comment section,
but you're not biased, you're not biased. That's actually what the fuck is happening, and that's a problem in a game where there's 2 different groups playing, right? Again, I have absolutely no problem with survivors having all their perks. I don't give a shit. Listen, let them have all their fucking perks. I don't care. But there should be certain quality of life things for killers that don't exist. Like I said, and it pisses me off. When you got somebody that can just hide in a fucking locker, I know that there's a thing that if they hide in a locker too long, crows pop up, and so you can find them after like a minute or so. No, fuck that. Why is the entity not ensnaring them inside of the locker? And now they gotta do 3 skill checks to get out, which makes a fucking noise. Survivors being annoying, and they're making noise notifications, and it's fucking disorienting you because they're trying to get your fucking attention because you're fucking stomping the team, right? It's shit like that. And you mean to tell me all that fucking noise and the entity is like, you know what, fuck you, keep jumping over and over that rail. They could easily just be like, if you jump over a rail and there's a cooldown and you keep jumping over the fucking rail, whatever like this, you'll see the spikes come up, and when your survivor jumps over it, you take a damage state. Nope. Nope. So this was a game that I played a while back, and this entire team ran offerings to make all of the hooks as far as possible from each other. And this was the cornfield stage, right? I don't know how bad it is. If you guys know how bad that stage is, I don't know exactly how bad that stage is, but there were literal dead zones. So whenever I actually was fucking them up, they would run to these dead zones on purpose. Mind you, full bully squad. Their intentions were to bully. Now you sit there and you go, oh, well, if that's the case, this should have been an easy win for you, right? They were down to the last generator. And the only reason why I won, because I had to slug them all. I had to slime these pieces of shit, right? The only reason why I won is because I had Plague, and what I did is every single time I would try to hook them, they would sabo the fucking hook in my face. Fun fact, if you see a survivor trying to sabotage a hook and you hit them, right? they have enough time to get hit and still sabotage the fucking hook and run. And check this out. By the time that you fucking recover from hitting them and you try, by the time that you walk up to them, hit them, right? They sabotage the hook. They run off. You try to put the person down. 60% of the time, the person you're carrying recovers. The only reason why I won is because I slimed them all with the red throw up, the red Taco Bell meat. If I didn't have Plague, if I was not playing Plague, there's no other killer I know that I use that I would have been able to do that, because every other killer is too weak that I use. Doctor's not making that shit happen. Who else do I play? Skull Merchant. Well, Skull Merchant, I do some shit with Skull Merchant. I put in work with Skull Merchant. But again, this is the type of shit. It favors them way too much. It favors them way too much.
Say something along the lines of, quote, killers just want an easy win. I think we can all agree that survivors aren't going to die for free. I think most killer players just want to be taken seriously. For people with killer anxiety, the pressure and the stress from everything mentioned above can be everlasting, because us as humans tend to remember bad shit, and game or not. If you already struggle with emotionally responding to having a bad game, you might be one teabag away from imploding. For myself as a streamer, I get taunted often. I have learned to not physically respond to these actions, but internally, I can start to tilt. Now don't get me wrong, some teabagging or emoting or in can.
It doesn't matter. You can get all of the resistances you want. At the end game, you're trying to secure a kill. The whole entire team body blocks you. You can't do shit unless you're using like the ring girl or something to go through their body or something like that. Or your character has a ranged attack like pyramid head or some shit. And even then, it's still stupid. Again, there are certain quality of life things in Dead by Daylight that they absolutely won't do because they are afraid of upsetting entitled survivors. That's really what it is. And this has absolute. And the thing is, as a killer player, if you say anything, it's your fucking fault. You're supposed to be expected to be a punching bag as a killer. I've had multiple friendships, and the funniest thing is, all of the friendships that I had, for the most part, have always been these fucking girls. It's always been women. Women love Dead by Daylight. It enables their toxic fucking. It enables their toxic fucking mindsets. It's something about broken women loving stupid ass horror games, and Dead by Daylight entitled. You're playing a fucking. It's supposed to be a horror game. You're playing a horror game with some of the most dangerous killers in the history of mankind on the big screen. And they expect to play in the killer's face and survive. They feel entitled to that. And they make the killers so batshit weak. When you got Nemesis and there's only 2 zombies on the field. 2 zombies on the field. And they're not relentless. They get blinded by flashlights. You can kill a zombie with a pallet. It's like, this motherfucker don't got his RPG. You got Alien, and you ain't got no face huggers? What the fuck is going on here? The fact of the matter that in base kit, Xenomorph does not mount. Xenomorph can't, let's say, for example, if you stun Xenomorph, base kit, it shouldn't even be a perk. If you hit Xenomorph with a pallet, right? He should bleed. And that little trail of fucking his blood should be on anything he climbs to. So if he climbs through a window and you try to use that window for the next 5 minutes, it should do a damage state on you. Oh shit, Xenomorph's fun. Oh, Xenomorph should be able to put facehugger eggs somewhere. Lay facehugger eggs as a trap. You try to run into a fucking locker? Oh shit, now you got a skill check when you better 5 skill checks. You gotta land all 5 skill checks, or you got a fucking a face hugger on you. Man, this game would be great. This game would be fucking great. What? Come on now.
Be used to taunt you in a bad chase, but more frequently, it is used to get inside your head or to remind you that you just aren't scary. If this kind of shit happens during the start or mid portion of a game, it's probably just annoying. However, when taunting occurs after it's apparent that you've already lost, it's when some folks take it really personal. They feel like it's getting kicked when you're already down, or rubbing salt in a wound, the extra fuck you from the comfort of an exit gate. For some, this type of stuff may not bother you, but for others can feel almost telegraphed. I lost, so here comes the BM. Something I've always found so interesting about Dead by Daylight is the fact that the killer always has to stick around like they're the host at a party.
Yep. So that game that I played with the Skull Merchant, that the person exited the thing. I forgot. I don't know if it was that game. I know I played a game with Skull Merchant that they all abandoned. Did you know if you abandon a game where everybody leaves, you lose? Did you know that? Did you know they count that game as a loss? And when you leave, you got to see all the shit that they're talking about you. Isn't that great? And mind you, this game has existed for over 11 years. You would think, oh, you know what? Every time that a survivor abandons a match, there should be a blood point boost. Right? Just to rub it in the wound, stop fucking quitting. There should be a blood point boost. It should be like 1.15, 1.25, 1.35, 1.50. Right? You guys want to quit on a killer? Because the killer got to sit there while the world is collapsing, while survivors are sitting there hunting them down after they heal at the exit gates. And you got to sit there and play. You got to sit there while they're doing that shit. And you got to take it. While they're sitting there with all flashlights pointing at you at the exit gates because they refuse to leave. Or they'll get all the way to the edge of the fucking exit gate and they'll just stand there looking back so you can hit them and then they'll leave because, again, it's still in their fucking favor.
Since the introduction to the abandon feature, survivors can now DC the old-fashioned way or abandon the match penalty-free if they've been downed, recovered, and downed again. This safeguard was put into place to combat slugging, however, the killer has no option to formally surrender. Sure, you could DC and hopefully close out the lobby before you catch a GG easy on the way out, but the only time the killer can abandon is when no gens have been repaired for 10 minutes.
Fun fact, the only time the survivors say GG is when they win. They do not say GG when they lose. The only time I've ever the only time I've ever seen someone say GG genuinely, it is crazy that I remember this. It was an RPD map with Twitch streamers, surprising, and I was playing Night, and they said that I was the most terrifying thing to go against that night for them, because I was everywhere. Besides that, survivors don't do that. Man.
10. That means scenarios where the last gen pops after a bad game and you just want to move on and go next. You are forced to sit and wait until everyone else decides to leave. To make matters worse, survivors don't even have to open the gate immediately. Server shutdown has a hard cutoff at 60 minutes, meaning sometimes the killer has to force endgame collapse themselves by opening the door, like a bartender ushering a bunch of drunk people out of a bar. For people with killer anxiety, it's sometimes better to stick your face in the corner than watch 4 survivors celebrate your L in an exit gate.
And they come all the way across the map while you're in the corner to bother you some more. They'll come all, the gate can be open. They'll all heal. You just want the game to be over. And they will wait. They will wait. And then they'll see that you're not interacting with them. They will go all the way to you. They will go all the way to you. And this is something that is just, again, Dead by Daylight behavior fosters one of the worst fucking communities in gaming. It's not to sit there and say there's other communities that are not more toxic, because I came from Dota. Dota's extremely toxic, but you know what the thing is? Every single game, the whole lobby's not against you. And Dead by Daylight, if you're playing killer, the whole lobby you go against, more times than not, is completely against you for existing.
Which leads me to our final segment of this video, the endgame. Now, I understand that this part can be a little different for players who use console, but something that gets most anxious people even more anxious is once the game is over, the actual social interaction. Every single thing that you have worried about, from sitting in the lobby to how you performed or actions you did in game to how the other side perceived you, is now all open for comment. Regardless if you win or lose, if someone wants to be an asshole, they're going to be an asshole. That's just the internet. A lot of the reasons as to why killer anxiety exists is because it's rooted directly to social interaction. One of the biggest branches in the anxiety tree is just being judged. When people have to speak in front of an audience or perform during a critical moment, the reason why they're anxious is not so much the task at hand, it's how people will perceive them if they fail. So when you play a certain way, pick a certain character, bring a certain perk, Everything can be villainized depending on who you're playing against. And to people with this anxiety, these comments carry weight. You didn't deserve that win because you brought X. You played in a way I didn't like, so you should jump off a bridge. We won, but I'm still gonna make you feel like shit because I can. The list goes on and on. Sometimes these social interactions is the straw that breaks the camel's back, further solidifying anxiety and creating reasons as to why you should fear this happening again. At the end of the day, if someone wants to make you feel bad, they're going to do it. Win or lose, people are just like that. It could be the most normal chill game of DBD in your life and someone will still feel the need to take a swing at you. For instance, this arena hoping my wife and I have more miscarriages because I played the twins. What you choose to let bother you is different from one person to the next, and I'm not by any means a psychologist, but if I had to guess, a lot of the reason anxiety exists in a game like DBD are due to external factors as well. Some people deal with depression, chronic stress, maybe even a shitty living environment.
And DBD brings them in talking about some "you're welcome" here. You got the funniest thing is it ironic that people who have the most goddamn social problems, like social deficiencies, just I'm not gonna even go there. I'm gonna get canceled if I say the shit that I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say is I'm real tired of seeing certain things in DBD. I don't see an American flag, but I see. I'm gonna leave it at that. And it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
So when they choose to fire up a video game to take a break from that reality for a little bit, they're already pre-exposed to certain stressors. And after a while of dealing with some of the things we've discussed today, it's only a matter of time until those things start to bleed over. And that's pretty much it. I want to apologize for my delay on making this video. When I first started scripting on this topic, I originally was going to take the approach of highlighting a specific problem and then providing ways that I thought you could fix them. I realized that not only was I being dismissive about certain points, but I was also super discounting certain issues because they didn't personally bother me. So I wanted to take my time with this and research as much as I could to make sure I was bringing awareness to this problem with as much respect as possible. I reached out to my YouTube and Twitch communities for testimonies, spoke to other creators, and applied some of the things I learned from therapy. And to be honest, I was pretty surprised at all the different layers this problem has, and even more shocked how many people it actually affected. So what can be done? I'd like to see behavior implement a couple of things that can assist in making this role just a little bit more enjoyable to play. I think giving killers free corrupt intervention can help offset early match stressors while not breaking the game. Allow killers the option to surrender and go next once the last generator is completed. For someone already having a bad time, getting them into a new experience sooner than later will help overall session moods. Better new player tools for both sides when learning unfamiliar content. And this may sound like I'm sheltering, but endgame chat is just pretty useless. It's either no one uses it, some lucky instances of good sportsmanship, and the rest is just garbage. And of course, just standard balancing, but preaching to the choir there. If there's anything you could take
behavior will do nothing when it comes to balancing their game, because this is and the crazy thing is you will have people who will sit there and swear up and down DBD is balanced, and it's an asymmetrical game. A 1v4 by default is not balanced. Those games should never be balanced. It should always favor the killer. Because again, it is one person versus four. It should always, even with Evolved. Remember Evolved? Oh, if you haven't gotten 10,000 hours of DBD, you shouldn't talk. And it's like, do you guys remember Evolved? In Evolved, you started off typically weak. I loved Evolved because it was a game that, like, even though the monster typically was stronger than the four players, not all at once at level 1, right? It was at level 2 and 3, especially level 3, that the power roll became an almost damn near unstoppable roll. Do you guys remember fucking Evolve before they fucked it up? It was a game that you played as a monster and you went around eating shit and you was running away from the hunters. You had 4 hunters with guns and shit like this. And you could kill a hunter if it was 1 or 2, but if the whole group got you, they could kill you early. But there was different stages, right? And the more stages you got to, the stronger your monster got. If they fucked around and you got to stage 3, they were in for a bad time, okay? And it was just such a good game because it just swapped back and forth between who's more powerful where at what point. It was great, right? But in a game like this, typically, it is expected for the killer to be extremely dangerous. In a better killing game, the killer should be interacted with as little as fucking possible. But in DBD, the whole thing of DBD is that they make it so that people can interact with the killer to have fun, and that's the problem fundamentally with the game.
Away from this video is just remember you're not alone. I play this game for a living and I get shit on. all the time. And there are so many more people out there just like you than you realize. So keep this in mind. Some people may hate a specific killer, a perk, or playstyle, some may not. With so many different possibilities of things that can make someone upset, it is tremendously unrealistic for you to accommodate to everyone's preferences. Try to enjoy the game you paid for. Thanks for watching.
Man, listen. I ain't asking for much. Just make killers scary. I know they're not gonna do it, so I'm not gonna play it for a long time. Well, I'm gonna play it very rarely. That was a damn good video. Baby, why won't you come my way? Hello. Feels good. I'm the biggest bird. I am the biggest bird. Hello? Does any of them have a flashlight? I don't even know. I don't. Okay. I know you're behind me. I'm gonna kill him in front of you. Nice spin. Ain't no fucking way. Oh, this is why people do what they do in Dead by. This is why killers do what they do in Dead by Daylight, because of shit like this. Okay. Jarvis, clip that. Jarvis, clip that. Jarvis, clip. Great game. The greatest game. Who game? Hey, listen. It is what it...